Yeah, here we are with our friend Weeksie doing another interview because we got to collaborate in our songwriting with this amazingly creative guy. So actually, just it's not one of our questions, but how many instruments can you play?
Oh, a few, yeah.
List them.
No.
Oh, go on.
Well, bass is the main one. Then I
Yeah.
did guitar, dabble on the keys, trumpet,
Wow, yeah.
but then it gets out of hand because I've got a flugelhorn,
All right, yeah.
a trombone, a tenor horn,
Come on.
and a French horn. Well, they're all the same thing, really. Except,
All right, yeah.
turns out when I got the French horn, then it's not. Like most brass instruments, valves on this hand.
Yeah.
French horn, you've got to shove this one up the sort of hole thing, and then you've got to do.
Really?
That's the thing. I was like, oh no!
Oh no!
Didn't think that through.
Can you play drums?
Oh yeah, I used to.
Oh wowzers! You really can play all of it. Singing as well. Yeah,
And I must say, I've got you to thank, stroke, blame for my sort of backing vocal career.
Really?
Definitely just sort of dropped me in the deep water. Yep, come on, you do that.
Yeah.
And there was no question about it.
I do actually remember that.
Yeah.
I don't think I even gave you a heads up, did I? I think it was live on stage.
Yeah.
I've called you Weeksie. Is that your name? Do you like to be called Weeksie and all of that?
Been called worse, so yeah. I'll take it.
Awesome.
Although half my family they call each other Weeksie, so.
So you don't know who to look when Weeksie's called. You kind of everybody looks up. Yeah. Oh, Weeksie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Will the real Weeksie please stand up?
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. So whose idea was it to write a song together? This collab.
That was yours, wasn't it, Geraldine? I think you. Did you text me? I've got a terrible memory.
Yeah.
Which you'll find as we do this interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Good
I
call.
was like, yeah, well up for that.
Cool.
Oh, fantastic.
You didn't have to pray and fast about it then.
Maybe. No, it was instant yes.
Oh,
Privilege.
fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the love.
I mean, tell us a little bit about your writing background. I mean, have you published? Are you starting out? What's going on?
It's quite weird, I suppose, because I have done some writing back when I was younger, and it was much more singer-songwritery stuff, not congregational worship stuff. But then got really into being a player, doing sessions, and then more production. So been obviously around worship a lot, been around song production and creation a lot. But definitely in sort of the last couple of decades, haven't really pressed into it at all. I think it was that classic thing of, which I've definitely heard from other worship congregational songwriters, that when they start to get that opportunity to lead in a specific environment, that has usually sort of instigated their writing.
Yeah.
Usually it's because the stuff that's out there that is easy to get hold of isn't appropriate, perhaps, or doesn't quite work for that environment they're in. So they think, all right, I'm gonna have to do it. And that was kind of what happened to me, really. I'm in a local Anglican church, small congregation, very diverse age group. And it was a case of, I love all this big epic stuff that's out there, the big Bethel Hillsong stuff, but it just wasn't working. There was no chance my guys were going to do an octave jump or whatever it is.
Right.
All that stuff. And the sort of, interestingly, the melodic stuff that's out there that didn't seem to translate as well when you strip back the what you can arrange it with. So we've got a very simple band.
Right.
And melodically, some of that stuff didn't seem to sort of engage.
Yeah. What was it about the melody that didn't work?
It seemed to be when you didn't have as much to bring in terms of the musical backdrop, dynamically, not having a band and just having a few instruments.
Yeah.
Meant that it sort of almost exposed the melody more. And when it didn't have so much going on about it, and maybe not as much interest in that melody, you suddenly felt, it's not you couldn't go so far with it and dwell on the song perhaps as much as you might,
Yeah.
Are you saying that some melodies lean on the accompaniment more?
Perhaps, yeah. But I don't want to sound disparaging, but
no,
I think when you've got a vast sort of production or arrangement behind you, you don't actually need the melody to be so complex. I think it almost works to be simpler. So it's pretty good that it's good in that environment that it stays simpler, and you can rely on just the size of what you're creating, and it sits well in that place. And I've found that in production as well. When you have a guy that's or a girl that's come with just, say, a guitar or a piano, and they've just got that one instrument, they tend to put lots more chords into the song, loads of chords, lots of changes. The minute you put a band in even just a small 4-piece band or so, you suddenly feel like there's just so many changes. It just doesn't need as much. So that's interesting, realizing, what arrangement you put to a song is going to have a big impact on how you perceive the melodies, chords. So so that's an interesting thing to say. To have that kind of arrangement in mind is actually really helpful.
What are some of your favourite topics to write about?
I don't know about favourite, but I've just been doing a whole bunch. I've been trying to get on a project, and I've noticed that one of the sort of recurring themes has been sort of inclusivity, and which is quite interesting. I sort of almost noticed it. I think, I didn't think that would be the case, but there's quite a few that have that. Making sure the song has a wide net, making sure everyone feels like this is for you, regardless of whatever it is, the background, situation.
And what is your favourite way to write? Are you lyrics first, melody first? Do they all come at once? Is it like a spontaneous thing? How does that happen for you?
I think it's shifted.
Right.
I'd say a while back, I was aware that if I would get really into something musically, I could get way down the road before the lyrics had a chance to catch up, and then it would get quite problematic. I had real trouble like getting the lyrics to catch up with where I'd got to. So I sort of forced myself, okay, no, you've got to have just write down a page full of words, just so at least you've got something to work on. And then launch into it. But then more recently, I think it's shifted a bit, and I think been more a case of get something that's inspiring musically, but then pretty quickly try and not get too far down the road. Quite quickly figure out what is that feeling like, what's that saying. Try and hook it together quite quickly.
But so you're thinking quite early on about emotion in terms of when you say what's it feeling like. Is that would that be true?
I've been learning that from probably yourselves and other people have, they speak in that sort of framework. Okay, what is this music saying? What is that sequence? What's the emotion I'm getting? So therefore, what's going to work best lyrically? And that the better you hook those two things in, the song is, the stronger it gets.
I mean, how did we? I'm just trying to think about how we got our initial ideas for this song, for Close to You.
So I think it started by I had quite a full. I mean, it's funny from what we've just been saying about going too far down the road musically, but I had quite a full song actually in terms of some chords and a melody. I'd almost like quite a few sections complete. I think we sort of left it to sort of almost dive in. Okay, did we just leave it there for a week or so just to think what is it saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I recall you had, I think we'd said, oh, let's write, but then I think you came with about 10 different ideas, and you were like, let me play this one. And what about this one? So we were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, talk about productivity and fruitfulness. So we had, I think then we homed in on 2. I think you played the one we actually chose in the end. You played that and we just all went, yeah, that's nice. I mean, it didn't have any lyrics at all, did it? It was just literally the da 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 da. I think that caught our ear. Da 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 da. And then that's when we began to think, right, what are the lyrics? I thought, well, okay, well, I'll have a think through some lyrics. And I remember kind of on the Google Doc kind of writing 3 possible approaches. So one was because we talked about Ruth, hadn't we? And Ruth and Naomi and that being a possible thing. So I think I approached it from that Bible story, and then I approached it from a singer-songwriter, dead-end road and lost and alone in our thoughts kind of thing. And then as a third option, I think I put something like, what about this CCM styly, why have I found precious favour? So it was those three ideas I think we kicked off with lyrically, and then I think the next time we met we decided on the CCM.
Can I ask you what, turning the tables now?
Yes.
How did you just come up with these three sort of options?
I think the melody, such an evocative melody, and the way you sing it was so beautiful. If that's not, if that's the right phrase, but I think it was. There was just something very inviting about the melody that just took me lyrically down those phrases. So there was something about it that was quite folky. So I guess I could imagine it in an open mic night. Yeah. And so I just thought, let me just explore the singer-songwriter thing. Some of those lyrics, as I say, were kind of, the just using poetic words that where you're juxtaposing sharp images, and it doesn't need to be congregational because only one person will be singing it. And then the second one, because we talked about the Ruth and Naomi thing, I was thinking, I like story songs, so what about trying that idea? And then the third one, the CCM vibe, was just thinking, well, I wonder if it could be congregational, and are there images I can extrapolate from both the singer-songwriter vibe, the story, that can put that into a thing. So from the story of Ruth, who we don't want to be far away from God, and far away from Naomi, and don't leave me. So then I was thinking, and also she'd come across Boaz, hadn't she? There was a verse about, why have I found favour with Boaz and stuff. So that's where I took the, why have I found precious favour, but put it into the gospel story, treasure that I don't deserve, kindness I did not earn. So Ruth is still in there, but it just became, kind of templated into the gospel story. So yeah, that was kind of the vibe.
That's good. What would you say to people who are thinking about collaborating with other musicians or singers or creators when they're writing a song? Why is that a good idea, and what also maybe some of the drawbacks or the hang-ups about it?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a definite thing you've got to push into if you can, because I think in all the sort of different environments of music making, whether it's the production or writing, or just as a player, collaboration has always been something that ends up being, gets you a better result in the end, basically. And, I think for me it's been a bit of a learning curve, because I think the downside is that you have to learn how to let go a little bit. None more so with the songwriting process. I think it's such a precious thing, isn't it, when you've got this little baby of yours. I think that was a little bit the case with this one, because it was this almost quite complete melody I'd had, and it actually I did quite like it, and I was thinking, I'd love this to be a really strong song, and so I was quite invested in it. But you have to let go of it, I think, to make a collaboration work well. So that's quite a hard thing to learn, but definitely worth it. What's great is I think once you do manage to let go of something, and you're willing to let it sort of venture into new territory. What's great is that once someone else sort of chips in with an idea, what tends to happen is that where you might get writer's block sometimes, having the collaboration in place means that if they start pushing down a certain avenue or suggesting certain things, it just means it triggers something in you.
Right.
And then you suggest a few things, and it feels like then that triggers them back as well. So it's like you almost create stepping stones for each other. And you end up in places that you would never end up without that in place. So and usually for the better as well,
Can you envisage places in this song that you feel it's ended up that you would not have dreamed of for your gorgeous melody?
It feels really strong now. I'm really happy with it, and it's definitely got some of the essence which I wanted it to have, like some of that intimate feel. Like you say, it had quite a folky vibe, so that sort of intimacy in the lyrics something I wanted to hang on to, which you really nailed with that chorus. The close to me, close to you, let me stay. But then how the verses are sort of wrapped around that and expanded the story into the various ways it has, feels really strong. And I'm definitely going to come up with it on my own. So
I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and how important do you think friendship is in and collaborating songwriting wise? Can people who are not particularly friends write a song together?
I think they could, but I think the friendship definitely helps. Because I think, like I said, it's that thing of being able to let go to things and allow, your collaborators to pitch in with stuff. It's definitely helpful, but not that you can't write with a complete stranger as well. It just means that hopefully you've learned from them.
Yeah, right.
Writing with people that you do trust,
Yes,
and how to learn to, not be defensive. How to learn to be, to let go of the song and let it breathe.
I mean, I think in this collaboration, I think that is right about trust and friendship, but I think too that it might, what we're learning, the more we do the collaborations, I think the more we can mentor even brand new collaborations. We're being mentored in how to, what things to look for kind of immediately, so things that we can bring to friendships or to collaborations that might be a little bit more, where we're starting from scratch. I think if I was doing this 20 years ago, I would be just petrified and do you know what I mean? And just just like I don't know what to bring, and I've only got one line, and whereas, from our collaboration I kind of feel okay, I've only got one word tweak, but it's or I've reached my 80%, or whatever. But I mean, so no, go ahead.
Well, one thing I definitely learned from you guys in this process was that one great little specific thing was that say it longhand. That's one thing you kept saying. But, if you were getting stuck on a line, okay, just say it longhand. What do you want to say? What does this line need to do?
Yeah, right.
Say it longhand, and then we can pin that back to the shorthand lyric version. And that was just a great little tool. So I'm having that.
I wonder, because as a producer, listening to music very keenly as your job and so on, how does that affect your approach to songwriting? Because does it require the same kind of scrutiny? It seems to me that you did, as we collaborated, you did scrutinize pretty much everything as we went through. So I wonder if that's come from your production or what your thoughts are about that. Is too much scrutiny? Can we go too far in that, or is it always a good thing?
I could probably go both ways with that one, but probably the scrutiny is good. I think on the whole, it's good to be a bit brutal in the songwriting process. I feel like we were both doing it as we approached the end of the songwriting. It almost like we almost got a bit nitpicky on that. You almost start to look for the weak line or any weakness. Which again, that could seem a bit brutal, but I think it was good. That it means okay. If the song's got really good, but there's still that one weak line, if you sort that line out, then it just the whole thing keeps getting.
In fact, just to home in on that, that was an example I can think of. That was when I raised me to life again, and the word raised, and I was saying, but what about kind of made me to live again or brought me, because is raised just a bit of a specific new idea, and so that's the kind of homing in on the nitpicking. But what you did, I thought, which was really helpful, was kind of zoom back out to the aerial view of the song. So actually the aerial view of the song is actually, this links into verse 2 and the gospel and the cross. We see the mercy of God, and then the other aerial view, which is the congregational aspect, in terms of not just you're in our congregations, but in terms of the wider singing church. That there'll be many who'll be able to identify with that concept. So I think it is that both and, isn't it? The homing in, which is really important, but the ability to zoom out to the aerial bigger picture. How do you know when the song is finished? How do you know when we stop nitpicking and zooming in and zooming out? And what does that look like, feel like?
I mean, it might be hard to differentiate, but there might be a point when the nitpicking almost gets like virtually annoying, and the point where it's not helping, it's not improving, maybe enough. And because there are some, sort of you go around these little circles of, is that melody right? Is that better? Is it? And you almost, that I didn't like that. Is that? But it becomes a point where it's not actually making enough difference to the song in the big picture, or it's such a small, minute preference that someone has that, like you say, right? If you take that aerial view again of I'm going to sing this on a Sunday morning with my congregation.
Yeah.
With that lens on, is it helpful or,
Right.
you know, so, I don't know, I'm not saying it very clearly, but I think there's
No.
certain things when you start to identify a little tiny bit of the song and it doesn't feel like it's having that vast improvement or making enough difference that you think, okay, we're sort of going to start to step away now from maybe the, you know, let's just leave it or let's just go with that thing, you know, it's working.
Yeah.
And I think it just starts to sit well. You think, yeah, no, I could use it. I could sing it.
Yes.
It's probably just a bit of a gut feeling. Don't know.
Yeah.
I think I've answered that very well, but
It's all of that. I think.
Yeah.
Be honest now. Was there anything that you found hard about or difficult, stretching or whatever about
or annoying
or just plain annoying? Yeah. About the.
I mean, not really. You guys were great.
Oh.
You were there. It was a really good experience. Although I'm trying to think of have there been experiences that have been tricky or. I think it is like when we were talking about knowing when a song is finished, and you get to those points where you maybe go around in circles with some things. I mean, if some people can get a real bee in their bonnet about a tiny thing, those things can be tricky, and working through them. Working through them in a way that keeps people on board is probably the key things. And I think probably what I've learned, if anything, from those sort of situations have been, it might be best, and this might be more just my personality, and let's get Freud will have a field day here, but keep the relationship as the actually most important thing. I found that to be a better target to go for in terms of finding a solution than actually the song, you know. So I'd rather be able to write a song again with these people,
right? Okay.
And than be too precious about this one song, because you know, it's that a classic songwriter thing is, you know, when you start writing, don't think you're going to write your best song when you start writing. You're probably going to write your worst songs when you start writing. So the more you can do it, the better you'll get. And then with that into a collaboration, the more you can write with these people, the better it will get probably. So so to work through those annoyances or tricky moments with in a way that keeps the relationship, I think, in a good place.
That's really great.
Probably the best thing.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's maybe had what they consider like an inspired moment? They've just sat down with their guitar and they've poured their heart out and sung a worship song to God, and that's their song because that was in the moment and they felt it. Does that happen, that a song comes and it doesn't necessarily need the scrutiny? It can just sit as it is. Have you had that experience, or do you think the songs would always need that scrutiny?
It's good. I don't think it has happened to me very often. And I would say that usually they do need a bit of work and scrutiny, because from experience, when I've spoken to people that write a lot of songs, they all say that the song is usually about, you know, this much inspiration, this much perspiration is usually
right. Yeah.
And obviously it varies, but there's usually a lot of work that goes. The good songs usually end up having a lot of work that goes into them, you know.
How did you find good?
Ooh, pressing in.
Harry, you're good at this.
Needling.
Yeah, well, I mean, my caveat is that there's definitely been songs that I'm aware of that people have said have come when they have been trying to perspire and to work and grind a song out and not succeeding. They've said that there's a song that will have just popped out that, you know, they put the tough song down, and this other thing just came out, like you've said, you know, in a very short space of time. And I know some of those songs have been really popular, really well used, widely used, you know. So not to say it doesn't happen, but invariably, most of them, the ones that, you know, are well known, widely used, that feel really strong, cohesive, has a bit of writing, have a lot of, you know, work and perspiration put into them.
So a good song is popular by your definition?
I suppose there's a sort of wisdom in the crowds element to that. You know, if it's popular, it's going to have something good about it. But not necessarily. You know, if there's a lot of music out there which isn't widely popular, which is amazing. Is the value of your song affected by how many people are going to sing it, how many people are going to hear it? And no, I think the answer is, for me, definitely no. You know, what you create is valuable regardless of, you know, how many it sells, how many people hear it, how many streams you get.
That's really helpful.
And because I think that's a really tough thing, especially these days, with streaming and likes on Facebook and, you know, all that stuff. Listen to YouTube. It's all out there for you to see in black and white, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No one listens to this. Loads of people listen to this.
Yeah.
Brutal. So and so it's quite hard, I think, for writers in terms of their heart and motivation, attitude.
This is good, Weeksie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think other people have spoken to this really well, sort of catching their tails on it, really. But so keep in mind, you know, that what you create is valuable. Just God, if it's just for you in your bedroom, like you say, you've had that little moment of, and it felt inspired, and that was brilliant. You know, I felt really moved, and
I think that is so helpful. Just that perspective, you know, for anybody watching this who's a budding songwriter or just feeling a bit discouraged, you know, that I've been writing for years and it hasn't been taken up by my church or no one sings it apart from me, and but just that perspective. And yes, there is a question and tension around, you know, what makes a song, the heart behind the writer to communicate, and that a heart behind the writer that says, I want to share this, please have some of this. So there is that, but I think what you've touched on there in terms of the heart of the writer, and this is the whole other interview, I think is really key, and how we keep, as writers, how we keep ourselves connected to Creator God, connected to the why we're writing in the first place, and that is huge.
And to encourage people to put stuff out there, you know, to go for it, even if they probably will feel like, oh my gosh, no, I don't think it's as good, or will people like all that stuff, you know, put it out there, you know, it'll be good, you know, it's your contribution to us, you know, us all, we want to hear it, and even I know that some of the most established writers will have these same, you know, inner turmoils about all this stuff. Because they would have a fantastically successful song. And of course, the next song they put out, they'll be saying, "Oh, that wasn't as successful as the other song." You know, they're probably thinking of these things as well. So it's not just people that are starting out; it's, you know, everyone of them. So go for it. You know, get out there.
That's awesome.
And how much should we be influenced by the industry? I mean, for example, we're writing from a perspective of faith here and love for Jesus, and that heart is in our songs, but looking like at the global perspective, you've got now the phenomenon of the Billionaires Club on YouTube, all the songs that have racked up 1 billion views, which is a growing list. And then so that's one lens which we can be informed by as musicians, but also the CCLI, you know, the top 100. That's another lens we can be informed by. To what extent should we be informed, or could we be informed by these two? What's, you know, again, coming back to the popular, what people are reaching for musically.
Yeah, wow, amazing question. I mean, gosh, we have another hour on it, don't we, really? But I remember hearing a little talk from a guy called Matt Osgood. He's part of the Resound.
Matt.
And we were at a songwriting retreat, and he did this fantastic little review of, I think it was the top 20 CCLR or top, I can't remember, you know, which is, like you've said, Kerry, I think it's a very small number of writers contribute to that top 200, whatever it is, in itself. But but he looked at, you know, at these top songs musically and technically and production wise, you know, tempos, keys, chord complexity, all this stuff. It was geeky, and he knows it. But we loved it, you know. It was so interesting.
It was really interesting,
And so, of course, with each little category he looked at, he was like, well, this is what most of the top 50 songs tend to use. So when you're writing your song, you
Yeah.
can be thinking you could do that,
Yeah.
or you could not do that. You know,
Mm.
which is good of Matt. I thought he did a great job of saying you don't have to do this.
Yeah, right.
And then that comes down to, well, if you feel called and your environment is such that it seems appropriate to write in a way which fits in with what those songs are doing, and write in a similar way using the same techniques or things, fantastic, absolutely go for it. But I think I was telling you just the other day about what I was inspired by recently, and I was watching that Kate Bush documentary.
Oh yeah, come on.
And
Yeah.
was wowed by her. I mean, I've not been a massive fan of her music, but she was so unique and individual as a person and a creative.
Yeah.
You know, the way she danced with this sort of ballet technique, and the sort of songs she wrote were just bonkers, but amazing. And I was just inspired because she was doing what she wanted to do. And she was not copying anyone, you know, herself. So inspiring.
Right.
It made me think, as I was watching her do that crazy stuff, I didn't want to do that, but I was thinking, I want to create. I want to
So
make.
you didn't want to dance? No, you didn't.
Didn't want to do a little.
You were fighting.
Whatever they are.
Yeah.
I was fighting a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I watched it mostly in second position. No, I didn't. But I just thought, yeah, you know, and I also, in doing the production side of things, too often I've been with, you know, artists in the Christian scene that have been making something, and it seems like they're trying to. I mean, it's just, I don't want to sound too harsh, but they were almost like they were trying to sound like the other people out there, so that they could be, you know, in that world.
That's so good.
Which seemed like a shame. You're thinking, you are unique.
That's right.
You've got a creative expression that is your own.
Yeah.
Push into that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think we need it. And,
so at that point, you mess with their voices a bit, put a double flange on and a bit of, you know, modulation or whatever it is, just to push it out there. Bit of pitch bend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so good, Weeksie. Wowzers. I just feel like there's just been a rich wisdom that is coming.
He knows stuff.
He does. That's why he's our friend.
That's the only reason, right?
Yeah, that's why we're sticking with you. We're sticking with you. So I guess on the home straight, in terms of close to you, any favourite bits from the song or the verse or the chorus? And
Let me stay.
Come on. And wherever I go, let your word
Carrie's melody, beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
we messed with your tune.
well, I think there are some lines in verse 2 which I do love. Like when I get to that, I just feel like, oh, like
Which bit?
Heavy. I
How's
mean,
it go?
it's lines 3 and 4.
Beauty in a crown of thorns.
Beauty in a crown of thorns. Love in your body
Love in
thorn.
your body
Geraldine.
thorn.
Woo! Yeah, and
Well in.
yeah,
Thank you,
it's just it's good.
Yeah. Wow. Well, is there anything else you want to ask us? Drop us in. Now's your chance.
Yeah. No.
When's lunch?
No, thanks for the opportunity. I mean, I think you guys are amazing and so full of wisdom and brilliant, releasing people into doing stuff. So you are fab. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Right with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Like I say, we feel like we've benefited as well. It's definitely been mutual, more than mutual. You know, we felt that it's been a place for us to grow and to be stretched and to work with the gorgeous melody that you. So thank you as well for your vulnerability as well in bringing that and sharing that with us. And like you say, with you, we can say the song is stronger. This collaboration has brought something that is strong because of that synergy, and thank you God for your help. So cheering you on, Weeksie, and all that you're doing, and we're looking to see where this song goes, and we pray that it will be used and will be a blessing.
Awesome.
All right, Weeksie, you take care.
You too.
Ta-ra, ta-ra, ta-ra. Bye.